For months, the comment sections lit up with the same question. The show had gone quiet. No new premiere date, no announcement, and the silence to hundreds of thousands of loyal viewers felt like the end. Then the man at the center of it all started talking, and what he confirmed wasn't a goodbye. Mark Bowe built Barnwood Builders from a coal miner's wages and a chance afternoon tearing down a friend's barn. 19 seasons, over 1 million households every Sunday, and the most watched show in DIY network history. So when the silence arrived, people noticed. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the rumors were real, what Mark actually confirmed, and why the answer tells you more about who he is than any episode of the show ever did. Glasgow, West Virginia sits along the Kanawha River. In 2010, the population was 905 people. It's the kind of place that doesn't appear on most maps and doesn't need to. It's a working town, coal country, blue-collar to the bone, and it is exactly where Mark Bowe came from. Mark grew up there, and the town honored him with a welcome sign in November 2022, recognizing Glasgow as his birthplace. He's talked about the place in interviews the way people talk about the towns that shaped them, when the shaping wasn't easy. Not with nostalgia, with respect. His father worked multiple jobs simultaneously. Mark was often found working right alongside him. That pattern, show up, contribute, don't wait for permission, would define everything that came after. After high school, he enrolled at West Virginia University. He didn't have the money to stay, so he went underground. He worked in the coal mines and as a mine safety technician, saving enough for the next semester's tuition, then going back down to fund the one after that. Not once, every term, for years. He earned a bachelor's degree in business administration, then kept going, a master's degree in safety management, also from WVU. 2 degrees, funded entirely from mine wages. Most people who know this story stop here, at the degrees, the grit, the bootstrap origin. But the real story starts with a single afternoon and a barn that was already falling apart. In 1996, Mark helped a friend tear down an old barn. That's the official version. What it doesn't capture is what he actually saw that day. Not a demolition, but a library. Timbers cut by hand more than a century ago. Joinery techniques that no one teaches anymore. Wood that had outlasted everyone who ever touched it. He didn't just want to take it apart, he wanted to understand it. And then he wanted to save it. He launched antique cabins and barns that same year. Just him, the work, and a growing certainty that these structures mattered. Within a few years, he had a crew. Within a decade, he had dismantled and restored enough pioneer-era buildings that the body of work was impossible to ignore. The DIY network came calling. There was a pilot, there was interest, and in 2013, Barnwood Builders premiered. Mark has said publicly that he never dreamed there would be a television show. After spending nearly 2 decades perfecting the craft before a camera ever showed up, that admission lands differently than false modesty. He wasn't building toward a TV deal. He was building because the work was worth doing. The cameras just finally arrived to document it. And if you think that was surprising, stay with me because this next part is why the whole story matters. Barnwood Builders didn't grow slowly. It found its audience and held them. Over 1 million households tuning in every Sunday. The most watched show in the history of the DIY network. 19 seasons across more than a decade. Those are numbers that primetime networks would notice. And this was a show about hand-hewn timber and 150-year-old joinery. The audience wasn't just fans of rustic design. They were people who recognized something in the crew. Sherman Thompson, the steady, skilled foreman who had been there from the start. Johnny Jett, the show's artist and eccentric spirit, whose craftsmanship drew as much admiration as his personality. Graham Ferguson, the quiet workhorse who handled the heaviest lifting without complaint. These weren't characters. They were the actual men doing the actual work. That distinction is exactly why the show connected the way it did. It transcended politics, income brackets, geography. The work was the common language. By season 18, the production had upgraded to cinema-grade cameras, the same equipment used on one of the biggest blockbusters in recent memory, and brought in a 2-time Emmy-winning director of photography. The crew had asked for the best tools available. Mark made sure they got them. That's not a show coasting on its legacy. That's a show that still believed in what it was doing. Here's what the comments kept asking, and here's the answer they never got, until now. After season 19 aired in late 2024, the announcement stopped. No premiere date for a new season, no statement from the network. The official pages went quiet in a way that felt different from a normal production gap. Fan communities did what fan communities do. They filled the silence with conclusions. The word "canceled" appeared in thousands of comment threads. YouTube channels ran the angle. Reddit posts cataloged the evidence. For a section of the audience that had been watching since 2013, the quiet felt final. It wasn't. Mark remained active, appearing at trade shows, home and garden events, and public speaking engagements through 2024 and into 2025. At the Grand Rapids Remodeling and New Home Show, he spoke openly about the show's journey and what 19 seasons had meant. He wasn't talking like a man closing a chapter. He was talking like a man who knew exactly what he had built. The official Barnwood Builders social page posted something during the quiet stretch that fans caught. "We promise we'll be back soon. Hint, hint." Not a press release, not a network announcement, a quiet reassurance from people who clearly still had something left to say. The situation looked less like a cancellation and more like a deliberate pause. Long-running shows built on real, physical work, not scripted drama, take breaks that production schedules on easier formats never require. The crew was still intact. The brand was still growing. The show was breathing. Most people who know this story stop here. But the real story starts right now. Here is the detail that gets buried in every piece written about Mark Bowe. The television show was never the destination. It was the engine. While the show ran, Mark was building in parallel. The Barnwood Living retail store opened in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia in 2016. Reclaimed wood furniture, rustic decor, apparel, locally inspired merchandise. It became a destination on its own. At least 500 people from out of state visit every month. That's not foot traffic. That's a fan base that will drive to see the physical version of something they watched on screen. Then he expanded the brand into Texas through a franchise operation. Then came a patent-pending concept, developed with 2 business partners, aimed at changing how affordable housing is built, specifically in disaster-affected areas. That project sits well outside the world of television. It sits in the world of a man who has spent 30 years thinking about how structures get built, how they get saved, and what they're actually for. Then came the hardwood flooring line, a collaboration with one of the country's leading flooring manufacturers. The collection draws directly from Mark's 26-plus years of handling vintage timber. Every design is rooted in the visual character of West Virginia's historic counties. Both the engineered and solid wood products are manufactured in the United States. It is not a celebrity endorsement deal. It is a product built by someone who has handled more reclaimed wood than almost anyone alive. And then in September 2024, Barnwood Village opened. 3 vacation cabins in White Sulphur Springs, built by the actual Barnwood Builders crew, using pioneer-era materials. The Spa City Cottage, the Big Draft timber frame, the Dry Creek Cabin, designer interiors, reclaimed timber throughout. A boutique retreat where the craftsmanship is not decorative, it is structural, intentional, and earned. Mark described the project simply. This originated from a desire to offer guests an exceptional experience, not just a place to stay. One phone call, one conversation. That's all it took to change the direction of everything. And in this case, the decision had been made years before the cameras ever noticed. So what exactly did Mark Bowe confirm to the people who spent months filling comment sections with worry? He confirmed that Barnwood Builders is not over. The show has not been canceled. Season 19 aired. The crew is intact. The official page has signaled a return. There is no ending. There is a pause, and a pause is not the same thing. He confirmed that the brand built around Barnwood Builders is now large enough to stand independent of the television schedule that made it famous. The store draws 500 out-of-state visitors a month. The cabins are booked. The flooring line is in production. The franchise is operating in Texas. The housing patent is pending. None of that requires a new season to function. He confirmed, through every public appearance since the hiatus began, that the values the show was built on are still the operating system. Work hard, be kind, take pride. That's not a tagline. That's the reason a coal miner from a town of 900 people turned a chance afternoon into a 30-year career and a brand that fans will drive across state lines to visit. And underneath all of that, he confirmed something the fans were really asking when they typed, "Is it canceled?" They were asking whether the thing that made the show feel real is still there. It is. It has been for 30 years, and no silence on a network schedule was ever going to change that. And if you think that was surprising, stay with me, because this next part is why the whole story matters. There is a version of this story where the rumors are just internet noise, fan panic, algorithm anxiety, the way every hiatus gets declared a cancellation before the production gap has even settled. But the rumors around Barnwood Builders ran deeper than that, because the show itself runs deeper than most television. It found an audience that doesn't just consume content, it builds a relationship with it. People who watch Mark Bowe and his crew don't watch for drama or conflict or resolution in the traditional sense. They watch for something harder to name, something about hands doing real work, something about men who respect the people who built things before them, something about a crew that genuinely likes each other after all these years. When that goes quiet, the audience feels it personally, because it was never just a show, it was proof that a certain way of living, careful, skilled, rooted, proud, still had an audience in this country. What Mark confirmed through his words, his appearances, and his business decisions is that the thing those viewers were actually watching was never dependent on a network schedule. He has spoken about Glasgow and what it gave him with real specificity, a town that taught him what it meant to take pride in work, a father who modeled showing up every day regardless of circumstance, an education funded by years underground, not because it was romantic, but because it was the only path available, and he took it. That rootedness, in place, in craft, in the people who came before, is the foundation of everything Barnwood has ever been. The television show was the window. The foundation was always deeper than the glass. Mark Bowe didn't walk away from Barnwood Builders. He outgrew the version of it that could only exist on a cable channel. The show is still coming back, but the man behind it has quietly built something that will be standing long after any television run ends. Watch for what comes next from Barnwood Village, the Barnwood Living expansion, and whatever that affordable housing patent eventually becomes. Mark has spent his entire career doing the most interesting work in the least obvious direction. That pattern has not changed. The question for you is this: do you think Mark made the right call building Barnwood Living into a full empire beyond the show? Or should he have put everything into keeping Barnwood Builders on air? Drop your answer below.